411 Live.
Where you can learn about issues that impact us every day. State of world, 411 Live.
Real people, real talk.
Made to help people in our community in every way. For your girl, 411 Live.
If you were at high risk for cancer, would you want to know? Would you take a genetic test to see if you have one of the genes that puts you at high risk for developing cancer? And if you took the test and you found out that you did have one of those genes that put you at high risk, what would you be willing to do about it? Hello, I'm Beverly Taylor, and this is the 411 Live. Real people, real talk. Yeah, I know. Those are some tough questions, but they are some important questions. Today, I have three guests. They are sisters, and they have one of these wayward genes that put them at high risk for developing breast cancer and ovarian cancer. And they have taken the steps, preventative steps, to get rid of the high-risk breast tissue and ovaries. They are some courageous, I say young women, and they are beautiful young women, sisters, my friends. And let me introduce you to them. Dr. Patricia Cifax, who I call Pat, Jacinta Tatum, both Milwaukee educators, and the younger sister, Sheila Adams Gardner, who is from the D.C. area, and she is an attorney and author. So welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you.
It's good to be here.
Yeah.
It's interesting hearing it coming from you. It's like, oh, wow. She is talking about us.
Yes.
We did do that, didn't
Yes,
we?
you did. Yes, you did. You know, there's so much to talk about. And like I said, this is an important topic. And I say that because I really and truly believe that somebody listening will be inspired, encouraged, and, you know, it may even save a life. You know, somebody thinking, I have cancer in my family.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they go to get this test and they have a way to prevent it, right?
Absolutely.
So let's just jump right in there. So I want to start off. I know we're going to get into the specifics, but I want to find out, can you take me back to your reaction when you found out that you had, and I think the gene is called RAD51D,
Mm-hmm.
when you had that gene? Any one of you can start.
Okay. Yeah, you go ahead.
I'll start. So I took the genetic testing based on a recommendation from my healthcare provider and really thought that I wouldn't find anything. All of these cancers in our family, it just happened to be. When I got the results, I was absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
I felt like I had just been diagnosed with cancer because she said to me, we found something and it's RAD51D and it makes you high risk for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. And we didn't have like a history of that, to our knowledge, of ovarian cancer, but we certainly had a history of breast cancer. And a family member who died of breast cancer and the others survived. And so I was absolutely shocked. And I can remember her saying to me, there's no, for ovarian cancer, there's no screening. And so you can have an oophorectomy, which is a surgery. Do you want someone to call you? And I thought, I need to process this. That was my first thought, but I just said to her, sure.
So she's ready to schedule you for the surgery.
Well, at least connect me to a physician who can talk to me more about it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, I just need to process it.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to do anything drastic. Like surgery is not something that you take lightly. And especially at my age in your 60s, I thought, I need to think about this. So I was shocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But immediately shared it with my sisters.
Right. And we're going to get to that in a moment. But what was your initial reaction?
So when I went for the testing, and at the time, both sisters came back positive for this mutation, gene mutation. So I'm like, okay, well, they have it. Now, dun, 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 like open up the envelope. What is it going to be? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I have it also. This is crazy. Like,
Oh, wow.
all three of us have this mutation now. Which one of our parents, did it come from? But it was crazy. Like, all three of us, like, this is crazy. But because of what happened previous years, I'm like, it was coming for me.
Yeah.
Not knowing that I had this mutation.
Now, I thought, so when Pat came back and said, hey, I have it, I was like, well, I wasn't surprised, actually. I thought, okay, this may be the answer, because we have on both sides at least 10 people who have had cancer. Some have died, and it's
So in your mind, you were
huge.
thinking, this makes
There's
sense.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'd always, for years, we've been thinking, okay, maybe we need to I've even reached out to people to see if we can get some sort of genetic study of our family because there's so much cancer, cysts, all kinds of weird things going on. So when she said that, I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't surprised. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, wow, I got to get mine now, because I wanted to do it. But, I think like a lot of people, you think only BRCA. That's the only thing we hear about.
Right.
And because our mother died of liver cancer, of unknown origin, and we don't know exactly where it came from. So that's always in the back of our minds, like, okay, what's coming for us, right? So, trying to figure out what's going on, my doctor, my gynecologist had recommended genetic testing, but she was very lax about it, like, well, yeah, maybe you might want to think about it, but no one said, hey, there are these other genes out there, and really impress upon it until Pat got this done. So once she came back, I'm like, bet now I have, because you need to have a little bit of ammo when you try to go to get the testing and talk to a genetic counselor. So I had that, like, my sister has this along with our family history. So I went ahead right away, like the next week, and got my testing done. And when mine came back, I thought it was going to be like, I don't think I got it. But then I saw I got it, like, oh my God. I got it. but I called my sister and it's like, okay, we got each other. Like, we're going to do this together. And that, it was still scary, but knowing it, because we've been through a lot together.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, my big sisters, we're doing this together. We're going to support each other. And then my twin, well, we're not twins, but we call each other twin. And I was like, well, she got it. And if we got it, just get ready. And she, had already had a double mastectomy.
Right.
So 10 years prior. So I really even felt more support, knowing that, my sister's like forever, my whole life, been able to say, hey, get ready for this, get ready for that.
Yeah.
So I think it helped, honestly, that we all had it together.
Yeah. Talking about, Jacinta, you having the double mastectomy like 10 years ago, right? 10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Did that, going through that experience, knowing, okay, I've been through this, I made it through this, did that help?
It did, because now it lets me know the decision was the right decision.
Yeah.
Back then? Or
Well, up to now.
Now, okay.
The decision that was made was the correct decision, because I had this gene and it was coming for me.
right.
So I was already, the deal was sealed when I made the decision, but it even capitalized them even more, saying, oh, this was the right decision.
It's like confirmation. Yeah. Because I remember talking to you after that double mastectomy, and I think they tested that tissue that they got out. And they saw something, right?
Right. They saw precancer cells on those tissues. 2 of the tissues. And I want to say both breasts. And so they removed the milk ducts out of the breast with those tissues, precancer tissues. And so from the time that I had made the decision to have the double mastectomy, when they went in to remove the breast tissue, more milk ducts end up having changing cells with precancer cells in it that wasn't there prior when they removed the milk ducts the first time.
So it was forming and doing its thing.
Yes.
In a short
3
amount of
years
time.
before that, I had cysts in my milk ducts, but those were fine. Like I want to say 2007. they had to remove milk ducts, but those were fine. But then 3 years later, now I'm having this same surgery again, having milk ducts removed with the precancer cells. And then months later, when they actually removed, but now there's more. So the doctor did tell me that it was at a rapid rate. It was coming, and changing so quick. And it was going to be one of those, fast growing cancer.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get this, you find out you have this gene mutation, then you have some decisions to make.
Right.
What are you going to do about it? And there are options.
Right.
You guys took the drastic one, you just kind of said, look, we're just going to get rid of the problem.
Yes. It's, it takes a lot of research, prayer, and investigation. And looking at our family history, because we had an aunt who died of breast cancer, we had a couple other aunts who survived it. And one of the things, once I discovered that I had this gene mutation, my healthcare provider said, you have a high probability of getting triple negative breast cancer, non-hormone driven, which I didn't even know there were two, like there's a hormone driven and a non-hormone driven. She said you tend to get the non-hormone driven, which is hard to treat.
Ooh.
And the history in my family, it seems like in their 50s and 60s, that's when the cancer shows up. Now, I had the option of getting elevated testing, which would have been like every 6 months, MRI. With one of the sessions, the next 6 months would be a mammogram. And then she told me there was a high error rate with the MRI, like it could be positive, could be negative,
Right.
I just decided that I didn't want to live with that. I have young grandchildren. I want to be here, want to enjoy my life. And I didn't want to worry about whether or not I was going to get a cancer diagnosis. My mother had cancer. She found out 8 weeks before she died. And it also helped, though, to make the decision because Jacinta had gone through it and was our hero 11 years ago. And I remember when she went through her ordeal, like it really, being in that hospital with her, it really gave me the courage. I can remember saying to myself, if I ever have to do this, I think I can do it. Because I think even 11 years ago, no one was looking at, very few people, prophylactic double mastectomies being preventative. And she made that decision. It gave me the courage to be able to do it. And then I had my youngest sister who had the diagnosis. Mm-hmm. So when she shared with me, hey, I'm going to do it too, it's just, it's like that support. But really, I just wanted to be here, live my life. Mm-hmm. I have a supportive husband. He said, I want you to be here. Mm-hmm. My kids, Mom, we want you to be here. And so for me, it's like,
right,
I'm going to do this.
So they gave me three choices. A, you could do nothing. And like she said, every 6 months, get a check. 2, you can take this medication. But of course, there's side effects to the medication. And also the medication, you have to take for so long, and it only cuts your chances by 50%. 3, have the double. I said, well, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to have the double mastectomy because why would I take medication to cut my chances 50% to fight for my life? That just doesn't make sense. So, yeah.
Especially given our history. I do think it helped, that I'll be 56. I know we talked about looking young. I'll be 56 this year. And I think it did help that my kids are all grown, past all of the, all of the hormonal issues with age and childbearing years. So the nervousness now is really thinking about our children coming after us and whether or not they have it, and our girls who haven't had children or are in childbearing years, just figuring out, helping them figure that out. But I think it was easier for us because that wasn't an issue. I think
Exactly.
it'll be harder if we were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sheila, I remember you talking about because you guys are going through something dramatic. I mean,
Right.
double mastectomy and removing the ovaries.
Yeah.
And fallopian tubes. Yeah.
And the fluid. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember you saying something like you had to talk to yourself
Oh, yeah.
about
So-
your body.
Yeah. So it was, I mean, even with all the support, you have your quiet moments where you're like, oh my goodness, I'm getting ready to have. And then for the choice that I made, because I wanted to save my nipples, that meant 2 surgeries on top of the ovarian. So 3 pretty significant surgeries, and I did them all back to back. And then, like, what's going to happen? You don't know. Is it going to go well? You hear about, I was watching too many episodes of Botched.
Oh yeah.
Way too many episodes
Right,
of Botched. And, so you don't know how it's going to turn
Yeah.
out. You try to pick the right surgeons and all that. So for me, even with the support of my sisters, I had to remind myself of the why. I want to be here for my children. I want to show them. Our mothers showed us how to live, showed us how to die. Like, I want to show them how to take care of their bodies, how to preserve their vessel. We are vessels. So I'm like, okay, this is not just about me. It's about what are they going to learn from my behavior. So I needed to talk to myself. Like, it's not, not that we're vain, but, it's like you want to be beautiful, sexy woman, beautiful woman. So the idea of, we all got reconstruction. Like, what if it doesn't look good? Or what if, what if my husband doesn't, I don't know, whatever. Or after having your ovaries out, what might happen to your sex drive, all those things. You still have that in the back of your mind. So I created a coloring book with my cousin earlier, this Black History coloring
I'm going
books.
to get you to stop.
Oh,
because
sorry.
I want to talk more about the coloring book, and we're going to take a break.
Oh,
So
good.
we're going to take a break. And we're going to talk about this coloring book and how this actually helped in their journey.
That's
In their
what
journey.
helped me, yeah.
Absolutely. So stay with us. We'll be right back. You're listening to the 411 Live.
People couldn't see my potential, so I had to show them.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
Today, I'm the CEO of my own company.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
Why are we not rethinking this?
I am more
I'm more
than who I am on paper.
Welcome back to the 411 Live. I am here with 3 ladies, Patricia Cifax, Jacinta Tatum, and Sheila Adams Gardner. They took the step of having a preventative surgery, removing the breast tissue and the ovaries, because they found out that they have that gene mutation that puts them at high risk for developing cancer in these tissues. So we were talking right before the break, getting through all of this. And, well, you're an author, you're a writer, you do all that stuff anyway. But you wrote this book, and it's a coloring book. And it really helped you.
Right.
So how? Tell
Right.
me.
So for me, it was therapeutic to just write. Even during COVID, that's when I really started with art and just writing words and getting all my feelings out on the paper and coloring it, and found that was just, for me, really therapeutic. So I thought, okay, let me mess around with I love doing design, like graphic art. So I started making images of women and, with the messages of my parts, like my body. What did I say? One of them is about the parts. I'm not my parts, I am, all these things about who I am as a person. And that there are questions and there are solutions. And like I had pictures of like the body parts and the surgery images, things like that, to remind myself of what's really important. It's what's inside and preserving this body and respecting this body and loving it, however it turns out. So that I would do to just sort of relax my brain, because there was such a lag between when I found out and when I got to start talking to doctors. That piece for me, I think you guys had a better time getting information. When they found out about their genetic mutation, they were able to really get in and get to talking to people right away. It took a while for me to actually start getting into doctors and really figuring out. I felt like I was in the dark. So whenever I felt really nervous, I'd color one of those images. And I made one woman just really voluptuous with flowers and just, like to really appreciate the body, like really what it is. And that this is a gift. Yeah. It's a gift of life that I'm giving myself, however it turns out.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful. And then after doing that, I was like, wait a minute, this is really helping me. I want to self-publish. With self-publishing on Amazon is simple. So I thought I can do that and make it a really nice coloring book and send it to them, but right before their surgeries, just as a surprise. So I sent them the books and some coloring crayons or whatever, and just for them to get that sort of, when they start feeling nervous and doubtful, because there are moments where I'm like, do I really want to do it? I mean, we're brave and strong, but you have your dark moments.
Right.
So I felt that it was really helpful. And so I shared that, and I shared it with some other people who felt the same way. And I thought, oh, wow.
Yeah.
If I felt like that. And we learned the word previvor. There are survivors.
Previvor, okay.
So we are what you call previvors because we've done the prophylactic surgeries to fight cancer before it gets us, right? And I learned that term from this organization, Force. And I thought, oh, wow. That gives it, I'm a previvor, because we haven't had cancer.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay. And I just felt really empowered. So that's one of the coloring pages, like previvor. I have it on the back of this woman's back, her naked back. And, she's beautiful, but she's like, yeah, I'm strong. I did this.
That's
so
good.
And it was really empowering. So that's why I did that. And that's out there for the world. Anybody else who feels like they need that encouragement as you're going through, it helped.
Give me the title.
It's called Reverse the Curse. Reverse the Curse. It's a coloring book. So it's on Amazon. So it is, and that's exactly what I think of it as. What we're doing is reversing the curse. Because we have, whenever I tell doctors about all the cancers, it takes like 20 minutes to go through all the people on our immediate, like our aunts and uncles side. And so we inherited something.
Yeah.
We inherited a curse.
Right.
But we're reversing it. And we're teaching our children what they need to do if they have to.
Right.
And reversing the curse. So that's our mantra. We're previvors, reversing the curse. That's us.
I like that. Jacinta, during the break, you started to say something and I made you stop because I wanted you to tell us, while we're talking here, about what your mom told you.
Yeah, so when I was going through with my decision to have my breast removed, one thing she told me, which always stayed with me, is to don't let your breast define you. And she said, don't forget that. Don't let your breast define who you are. And so that stayed with me, and that was very powerful because that's true. I just want to live. So don't because some people make decisions because they feel like, well, if I get rid of it, my husband might not want me. My husband might divorce me. And so they may not do anything about it.
Yeah.
And then they end up passing away.
Yeah. And that's a big price to pay.
Big, huge.
Right. I from down south, and I grew up, and I remember when people got cancer, it was like, oh, don't say anything.
Right.
Such and such, I think they have cancer. It's like a hush-hush kind of thing. But we have to tell people,
yes,
I have it, or mom had it, or cousin had it, because it's important for you to know your history.
Right. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Yeah.
You find people, they're embarrassed or feel shameful, when they call it the womanly parts. You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden they feel shame and embarrassed.
Right.
Like, why?
And even men with prostate, issues, they're afraid. Like, no.
Yeah.
Because it's not even about just you. It's about your children, too. Right. I knew a woman who passed away, went on a big yoga retreat with this woman who has since passed away. She had colon cancer. And she was so angry with her mother because her mother's brother had it and didn't tell her.
Wow.
And she went to her grave. She was a young woman. She wasn't 50. She had young kids. And she was filled with so much anger because she felt that her mother should have told her. And that way she would have been able to tell someone and find
Right.
out and do something about it. She
Right.
said, but instead at 42, she found out she had this terminal disease.
Wow. So I encourage anyone who is listening, if you know of family members who have had it, share that with other family members. Make that a topic of
Yes.
discussion so everybody knows. And when they go to
Make
the doctor,
the list.
make the
I
list.
have the list.
Yeah.
Everyone
Too.
comes to me for the
The list. And when they go to the doctor, they can tell them, yeah, my aunt, my cousin, different people. So that helps in your medical care.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when people hear about your stories, these 3 sisters who have done this to prevent the development of cancer, when they hear the story, do you hear people being encouraged to kind of research their family history, or knowing that they have cancer, to ask their doctors about genetic testing, or what kind of responses are you getting?
I'm getting positive responses. I have people coming to me say they're very encouraged by my testimony. And since then, they've gone to the doctor,
Yes.
and some are going through, but they're going through in silence. They're not saying anything. They're not sharing. And so now they're starting to share, because when you can stand proudly and share your testimony,
Yeah.
then it gives them that courage. Like, I don't have to be ashamed. I don't have to walk this walk in silence,
Right.
so it's.
And if you
it's
don't
definitely
do
been
that,
impacting.
then other people kind of come around you and encourage you and help you
Absolutely.
in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found the same thing. People have been, I've been very transparent, and people have been inspired, but to the point of doing something about their own health care. Whether that's, again, talking to other family members. I know that there's been people who have said, you know what, I've asked for genetic testing. Because one of the things I found in my research, there was a small study that talked about physicians who recommend genetic testing, and they found that with white women, genetic testing is recommended if there's cancer in their family. With Black women, they found in this small study that it was recommended after they had cancer.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, wow. And my healthcare provider asked me after she, again, I was going for my mammogram. She's like, anybody to add to this long list? Sure enough, I had people to add because they died that year. And that's when she said to me, have you thought about genetic testing? I'm telling you, after going through all of this, and when I went back for an appointment, I said to her, Anna, you saved my life.
Yeah.
Had you not asked me that question. And then, even when they do a pre-screening, and so even during the pre-screening, it was because of one question that I answered incorrectly that made me eligible. And as I've mentioned just in our talking before, Beverly, is that once they removed the breast tissue, they found pre-cancer cells in both breasts.
Wow.
So I thought I was, it was coming for me, as Jacinta puts it. So it is it's so important for people to know knowledge is power, take action, and be proactive. I tell people, you don't have to do what I did, but do something. And once I began sharing too, I was surprised at how many women have had double mastectomies. And I mentioned, I'm going to have tattooing because I'm having my nipples removed and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, can I talk to you about that? Literally at a women's gathering, we were gathered together, and there were a couple of people who came up to me, shared with me that they had a double mastectomy as well, and wanted to know, well, can you organize something so that we can get together and talk? I've been thinking about tattooing for years and never did it. I think it just made them feel like I'm not alone, And I'm a person that I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to share, because I think we're here to help one another.
Right.
Yeah. I was just going to say, my dream is that, because I think even medical professionals don't know. My husband's a surgeon, and he is not versed in all this. And he went to his doctor because we wanted him to have his genetic testing. And his regular doctor's like, okay, how do we do that? Like, this is really not well known. And I am, like I said, I'm working with the organization FORCE, which stands for Facing Our Risk of Cancer Empowered. So they have a huge advocacy group that's been doing great work on on the Hill, and trying to get laws passed to make it more accessible, genetic testing more accessible for people and all kinds of things. So I've been working with them to see what I can do to help and support them. And my hope and dream is that genetic testing becomes part of like inoculations. Everybody gets asked the question, just like you get all your shots.
That would be nice.
What is all your, and then just get it's so simple. Mine was a spit cup, it's not like a huge thing. If everyone can do that, because you have people who are adopted, people who don't know their history, people who just don't have, like, we didn't have the correct things that we found out about our aunt, grandmother, great-grandmother, we just happened to find out because our aunt just happened to say something. We're like, wait, what?
Yeah, that goes back to that share.
And it's not that they were trying to
Exactly.
keep it quiet. It was just, it didn't come up.
Yeah, because even 11 years ago, they sent me to genetic counseling. But they said I didn't qualify to do the testing to see if I had the BRCA gene because only one aunt died, because that's all the information. And when I called someone, I don't know, I'm not sure. They had cancer, but I'm not sure what it was, this, that, and the other. And so they didn't do the genetic testing because they said I didn't qualify because there was only one death. I figure one death ought to be enough. But they said, but it could have been environmental, it's, this, that, and the other. And
okay. Ladies, we're out of time.
wow.
I told you it was going to go fast.
You were right.
Listen, thank you for so much for sharing all of this. I hope that it encourages someone, especially that person who kind of sort of thinks maybe, but they're afraid. Mm-hmm. Knowledge is power.
Yes.
So my guest again, Dr. Patricia Cifax, Jacinta Tatum, and Sheila Adams Gardner, joining me with very important information. So I hope that you will take this, share this with your loved ones, because, hey, you may be saving a life too. Mm-hmm. So thank you again, ladies.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of the 411 Live, Real People, Real Talk. I'm Beverly Taylor. Again, this is a nonprofit organization, so if you're so inclined, go to our website, the411live.org. Until next time, this, again, is the 411 Live. God bless. If you would like to check out past episodes, there are many ways. Go to your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Like and watch us on Facebook. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have suggestions for future episodes, go to our website, the411live.org.